Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering church around the world. Today we're going to be considering the country of Iraq, a country where the war is officially over, but sectarian violence continues to ravage internally, particularly targeting Christians. To tell us more, it's my great privilege to welcome the Chaldean Archbishop of Erbil, His Excellency Archbishop Warda. Your Excellency, thank you for being with us here today in our program.
You're welcome.
Your Excellency, the situation in Iraq has been up and down, can we say, with stories of young people who are being kidnapped and obliged to pay ransoms of up to $100,000. Can you tell us, what is the climate today in Iraq?
The violence depends on the, what we call the political process, which is still, we could say, it's immature political process. The violence linked to that process as a way of putting a pressure on various parts who are participating in this process. And this, the Christians are paying the price. So violence, as we have seen in the last years, is religiously motivated and politically also motivated, and some people also looking for money, they will also go on a violence against Christians.
You mentioned criminality. Since 2002, about 570, let's say, official cases of religious persecution and Christian persecution have occurred. Who would be behind? Is it only criminal, or is there another intent, for example, for an ethnic cleansing of a particular region?
No, it's not just the criminals are behind the killing and persecuting Christians and driving them out of the country. No, there are some quite good cases of religiously motivated violence, and there are cases which was very clear is ethnic cleansing. There are some area in Iraq which were known as a Christian area, Christian villages, Christian neighborhoods. Basically, now you cannot find that many, or we can say in some neighborhood there is no more Christians in that area. At least 2/3 of the Christians in the city of Mosul have left the city of Mosul, and the same thing we could apply to Baghdad also.
If I understand correctly, Archbishop Nona of Mosul, as a gift to him upon his ordination, fundamentalists said they would kill one Christian every day for 1 week.
Sadly enough, just after a day of his ordination, and when we were going to Mosul for the installation of the bishop, a campaign against Christians in the city of Mosul started, in which so many people left, but courageously enough, there were so many families stayed to celebrate with their new pastor who is coming to the city of Mosul in such difficult time.
I remember Bishop Nona telling us the story exactly about this courage of the Christians, where was it a Christmas Mass, I believe?
Holy Mass.
Holy
Thursday.
Holy Thursday. He came to the church in an armored police car, expecting nobody to be there, and he opened the doors and the church was full.
Yes.
Which meant that the young people had come up to 1.5 hours by foot to be with their pastor.
Such occasions have occurred so many times during the last 4 years, which gave us really a courage. This exchange of gifts we have in Iraq between the bishop and the priest and the people who are looking for support, and at the same time we look for courage from their courageous acts of faith.
Your Excellency, to come back to the political question a little bit, are the interests from this, if you will, cleansing or religious political cleansing, is it only coming from within Iraq, or are there interests from outside that are perhaps furthering this situation?
I am not a politician, but from what we see, and I may be mistaken, that the interest of the neighboring countries who have found what we call some people from the inside the country have all worked to create such a violent atmosphere against so many Iraqis, and the minorities have been affected badly by this situation. So from what you call neighboring countries and other political conflicts all have contributed to the situation.
Is there not condemnation from the side of the moderate Muslims, the Muslim clerics, to these acts of religious violence?
Well, whenever there is an act of violence against Christians, it's a massive condemnation from all Muslims and also the Iraqi politicians about these acts. But the problem is that those people, we can feel that they have no power or no control on the street, or somehow we are also caught in a very immature political process in which they would speak in front of you in words of condemnation and sympathy, and on the other hand that you can expect all kind of violence, whether directly from them or maybe somehow not encouraging directly these violence, but at least have no willingness to stop it.
It must be also said that it's not just Christians that are being attacked, but increasingly Muslim versus Muslim attacks between Shia and Sunni.
Yes, that's right.
In an interview, you stated that since the 1980s, the number of Christians have dropped from 1.4 million in Iraq to approximately 150,000 today. Now, these are, of course, rough numbers, but is there the concern that Christianity is on its way to extinction in Iraq?
Yes, there is a quite concern about that. We cannot deny or ignore the reality. We saw that so many families have left the big cities, and also coming even what we call internal immigration. It's become very difficult because of the lack of jobs. Sometimes we are caught in a situation where Christians find it very hard to get a suitable house, a payable rent, stuff like that, which makes the Christians wonder about the future of their families. So they choose to immigrate outside the country, knowing that that would be a very difficult and risky challenge, but sometimes they have been left without a choice. Even our young people, or what you call newly married couples, they don't have that much of the interest anymore of getting a large family as it was in the past, because they would ask how we are going to support, how we are going to maintain ourselves if we don't have the enough financial resources for the family.
So, for example, an average family of 7 or 8 children today has been reduced to
1 or 2 children.
You mentioned emigration, and a number of families have left Iraq, particularly to go to Syria, where they hope for a visa and then to emigrate abroad to other countries, Australia, Canada. Are Iraqis now, with the destabilization in Syria, are they coming back into Iraq? Or what is the situation of these Iraqis who have emigrated to other countries?
Most of them would think to continue further to Lebanon or to Turkey, or if they could get also some ways of immigrating to Europe. Some are waiting for their cases to be finished. those who think to come back, they have to secure at least a suitable house for them in areas like Erbil, which is being considered as a very expensive area. Yes, it's a secure for Christians, but it's somehow very expensive.
I think
living.
In our earlier discussion you mentioned that the rent of houses or apartments are as high as $900 per month.
Exactly.
Which for a young family where employment is already a problem is considerable.
Yes, they cannot afford it unless they would make sure that there is enough jobs, which is also a big difficulty.
You have, or let's say your diocese in Erbil has encountered a massive re-immigration from the south to your area. What challenges, pastoral challenges, does this confront you with personally?
We need, in Baghdad and Mosul, they have closed churches because of the, massive immigration. For us, we need to build churches. So building churches is one of the priorities that we have. Caring for the priest and priest formation and the vocation also is one of the other challenges that we are facing. We don't have enough buildings for the catechism, which is growing. We have every Friday over 1,400 kids from grade 1 to 12 who we have to take care of them, which needs more of the buildings. Thank God, with the help of the Church in Need and with other help of other donators, we have been succeeded in forming some of the intensive formation courses for the new catechist. These challenges is still confronting the diocese. So we have a plan of 3 years that hopefully, with the help of the benefactors, we could also prepare some of the places for the catechism and also to build churches in the new area, which is just enlarging in the Diocese of Erbil.
I want to target this exactly because in Mosul there were 28 parishes and these have now closed down to 2. What are the numbers that we're looking at for Erbil?
Erbil was, in the city of Ankawa was 1 parish. Now it's been 3 parishes, and we have to add another two parishes, which means new buildings. The complex should be prepared in a way that the kids could come and make all the pastoral activities needed. The church usually is open 7 days a week, and there are so much activities going throughout the week concerning young people, fraternities, spiritual fraternities, daily mass, morning and evening prayers. All these spiritual and pastoral activities is within the parishes. Unfortunately, we are not prepared for that because none of the people have thought that, for example, Ankawa or the Diocese of Erbil or Duhok or Ahmadiyya would become such large dioceses because of the immigration. Another challenge is if we have generations who have experienced the internal immigration twice, so we came to also a big concern. Are we going to build, big churches,
structures?
So maybe we have to leave it behind after 40 years. This is a big question because we have now big churches in Baghdad and Mosul. It's just empty, and so much efforts was put on these churches. But still, we have to hope against the hope.
Yes. One project that is extremely important for your area is, of course, education. And this is something that lies on your heart. Can you tell us a little bit about the plans that you have for education and why you see that education is so important for this area?
We believe that Christ is the Savior, but the lasting peace for the world. There in our area, we have suffered so much violence. So we have to bring Christ to those people. Yes, we know that we are dealing with non-Christians, but still, the message of Christ is a message of peace and love and mercy, which would be accepted by all. But it will depend on the way that we preach and educate. So we thought about this project, and we prayed about this project, and thank God so many Muslims have asked us to go back again and open the Catholic schools once again, because they have experienced the education which was meant to build the humanity of the Iraqi person, which we have lost over the last 40 years. And they are encouraging us to open these schools.
I think it's important to mention that the Catholic education has a long history in Iraq, and it was during the time of Saddam Hussein in the 70s, if I'm correct, he nationalized all the schools and took them away from the church.
Yes, the first thing was to close the Jesuit college in the beginning of the 70s. And in 74, they nationalized all the Catholic and Christian schools who were there. And the people felt sorry about that because they knew the kind of education we are presenting. So I do believe that the message of Christ is still heard and respected there. And it depends on the way that we are going to present this message. And I have to say, our schools are welcomed within the community.
The majority of students would be Muslim.
The majority of the students would be Muslims.
And can you tell us, for example, during the time of the Catholic education prior to Saddam Hussein's nationalization, do you see the fruits today politically with those politicians or those leaders who have gone through? Are they more open-minded? Do you see the fruits of that education on the Muslim leadership today?
Definitely. We have some politicians who are involved in the political process, and they have a very good position. Like Mr. Riyad Alawi, for example, is one of them. Is a student of the Jesuit school in Baghdad. And he was one of the persons who also encouraged us to go back again to the old days, and please, where is your schools and educations? In Baghdad now, the sisters, the churches also have opened the schools, and the majority of the students are Muslims, and they are fighting to get a place for their sons and daughters in these schools because they know the respect. And the mission of these schools is building a human and dignified person, which is the aim which is what's needed for Iraq today.
Are you able to teach a Catholic curriculum? I suppose the question would be, well, then does it mean that the curriculum is simply a secular one, or is it clearly a Catholic curriculum?
Here there is a possibility, for example, to depend on the national curriculum of Iraqi curriculum, but to add to it, there was something could prevent us from doing this. So we could start with or build, depending on that, and try to also to add more of the education which is needed, in a way of changing the education system. We do have also a problem with the education system, which is still of the 70s and 80s, which has an agenda of excluding the others who is different. There is no mention of the Christian contribution within the history of Iraq in the national curriculum.
Even though Christians were the first, if you will, on Iraqi soil.
Yes, Christians also have contributed also to Arabian philosophy. They were the one who translated the philosophical text from the Greek to Arabic. They were the one who also opened the Al-Hikmah school in the 10th and 12th century. They were the one who contributed also to Iraq, to Arabian poems and Arabian.
And there's no mention of this in the history books.
Nothing. These books are just directed towards an agenda or towards one idea, which is not doing what we call justice to other communities. I mean, in Iraq, in the books, in the history of history, it should be mentioned not just Christians. There are others, Mandaein, Yazidis, all the Iraqi communities are part of the Iraqi nation. So this is the aim of the Catholic education. Yes, respecting the dignity of the person, which means also highlighting the inputs and the efforts and the contribution of each person in the society which we live in. This is a long-term process, but it's needed.
In fact, if I understand, very needed, because if we look at the Iraqi constitution, in which Article 2 or Article 3 indicates that the legal system will be based on Islam, it proposes the question whether Sharia will be introduced, in which case education is the only avenue left for the church.
Education is needed, and the Christian education and Catholic education is needed for the Muslims themselves, because in Iraq we have a Shia community and Sunni community, and both have differences also concerning the Sharia, concerning some Islamic legislations. So when we come to with a system which respects all, we will be a bridge of peace between these communities, and we will play a very important role on that issue. Yes, it's also a risky way, but here we are, and Christians are the ones always who will take the initiatives for reconciliation, for building the peace among the community. So what we are proposing, it's not just for the Christians, it's also for benefiting the Iraqi nation at the same time.
Your Excellency, I'd like to also ask you a little bit about the wider context, the question of the Arab Spring, what we see being lived today out in many countries of the Middle East. How do you see the Arab Spring? Is this because many political leaders as well as religious leaders are a bit wary of what this could mean for the future?
Well, I mean, the people are looking for change. They are fed up from systems which would silence them all the time. So they would like to live their human rights with the whole of the world. I mean, we are not excluded. The Middle East does not mean it's been excluded from these rights. So I think they have the right, and I hope they could act peacefully. So no blood, shedding of the bloods, and no killing. And I hope that the politicians, Arabian politicians, will realize that those people are looking for a decent life. Personally, I'm not afraid about the future of the Christians, and we cannot link this security of the Christians to political leaders. It can't be this way at all. If some people would worry about the immigration, or this might accelerate the immigration, I mean, the immigration of the Christians started years ago and within these political systems. So my hope is that the change and the human rights, it's the respected rights for all, and the politicians should understand the needs of the people and the young people for a better life, a better services, which is the right of every person. So hopefully this would be done peacefully.
I want to come back one more internal question to the situation in Iraq. There has been a proposal of a division, that is that Christians should be in one area, Sunni and Shia. Is this a realistic proposal, and would this be something that you would agree with to, for example, if this violence, religious or politically motivated violence, continues, to bring a certain stability, or would you disagree with that kind of a model?
It's not a matter of agreeing or disagreeing. It's a matter of understanding the situation. I could understand why people go for such extreme, because of the extreme of violence that we have experienced, whether Shia or Sunni or Christians. So whenever people would go to such extreme direction, you can feel that the hurt and the violence which was there have led them to go on that. I hope this would be another pressure to better the whole political process, because when you put such pressure on the politicians, they will maybe leave their personal interest, political party interest, tribal interest, religious interest, to put it aside and to look for the common good of the whole nation.
Your Excellency, what would be your appeal to those with us now on this program for your particular needs in Iraq?
I would like and I would ask the faithful to support us by their prayers, and if there is any donation could be also donated to such a project, it would be really appreciated, because we see the importance of this Catholic and Christian education. We do believe that Christ is needed in such situation.
To open the horizons of the young people in Iraq.
Exactly.
Your Excellency, thank you for having been with us today on our program Where God Weeps.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today on our program. If you'd like to know more about the situation of Catholics in Iraq or how you might be able to help, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program, and we'll see you next week. Take care.